Hey, JK here. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me. For day 21, we're heading to the nation's capital and talking about the Washington Nationals, 5th in the NL East with a record of 71-91 and a negative 145 run differential. Now, the category leaders weren't all household names, so I do want to go ahead and get to them. Mr. Lane Thomas led the team in at-bats, runs, home runs, total bases, strikeouts, slugging percentage, and on-base plus slugging. Joey Meneses led the team in hits, doubles, RBIs, and batting average. CJ Abrams led the team in stolen bases and triples. The next two guys are the not household names, or at least not as of recently. The walks leader was Alex Call, and the on-base percentage was Dominic Smith. Dominic Smith was last relevant when he was with the Mets. That was like 2014, 2017 in that time frame, so it's been a while. Talking about been a while, Lane Thomas came into the league 6 or 7 years ago, started out with the Cardinals, now is making a name for himself with the Washington Nationals. He definitely improved from 22 to 23 as he hit 11 more home runs, had 32 more runs scored, added another 36 RBIs, and swiped 12 more bases. However, he also led the team in strikeouts, and that's not what you expect from a leadoff hitter. Talking about expectations, Joey Meneses let everyone down, or at least he definitely let me down, because I went into 2023 with high hopes for him because his 50-plus games in 2022 left me salivating. He was a big guy. He played first, had outfield eligibility, and he was essentially the total package. He wasn't stealing bases, but he had a 300-plus batting average. He hit 13 home runs in, again, that 54-game span. I didn't really expect him to keep that up. However, I also expected him to do more, He hit 13 home runs in 156 games in 2023. He had 38 RBIs. In 2022, he had 15 RBIs. So he doubled it and added a little more. That's not good. That was a huge disappointment, and I was, again, expecting a whole heck of a lot more from him. He's absolutely got to step up and do better. Even the batting average dropped. Now, it was still 275, so it's respectable. It's actually very good. But, come on, man, we definitely needed and wanted more from you, especially where we drafted you. The next guy I want to talk about is a pretty special guy, CJ Abrams. He was blocked from coming up and doing anything in the Padres organization, so he was shipped out to the Washington Nationals, and he has absolutely taken advantage of the opportunity. Now, he only had 47 stolen bases. So when that is compared to Ronald Acuna, it's not that impressive. But saying as though he only had like one stolen base in 2022, that's a huge improvement. However, he had 118 strikeouts and only 32 walks. He's definitely got to improve that, especially if you're only going to bat 245. So now we're moving to Keibert Ruiz, who I love. Keibert Ruiz. He's one of my top catchers, at least ones that I root for, because he is an offensive technician. He has a good contact rate. He's going to get you a decent batting average. He's not going to plummet like Martin Maldonado or some of these other guys who are barely hitting the Mendoza line. But he's definitely got to improve his home run power. Now, he's great with the strikeout rate. He's at 10%. That's like top 3 in the MLB. So that's great. However, we need a little more production, man. He had like 40 or 50 RBIs, 40 or 50 runs. Now, granted, wasn't playing with the most stellar offense. This year, it's going to be better. There's more experience and a little more excitement. They brought in a few guys that are going to absolutely help improve the team. However, they also lost a few guys that would have absolutely been beneficial. Talking about one of the guys they brought in, at least not necessarily right now, but they drafted Dylan Cruz. This guy is bringing so much excitement. Now, he did play at LSU last year, so again, he's got a lot of development going, but, he's going to need to spend a little time down there in the minors, but people are super excited. Talking about excitement, people were out of their mind excited in 2019. Victor Robles, this guy was stellar. He looked like he was putting it all together. Double-digit home runs. He was doing stuff on the base paths that, were rivaling Bryce Harper. Not put him in the same sentence and say, they were just as good. However, there was a lot of excitement. But after the 2019 season, he just fell off the face of the earth. Now, this past season, he showed a little bit. He was batting almost 300, but back spasms limited him to 35 games. That's very unfortunate because 2022, he showed a little bit of pop, a little bit of speed, but still was only hitting 220. So Robles is going to have the opportunity to play in 2024. He is going to have the opportunity to take over an outfield spot, and barring injury, he could and should. And hopefully, with health, he'll be able to actually take advantage of the opportunity that he's given, and hopefully replicate that 2019 season and build on that. Speaking of building, the Nationals built a rotation around Mr. Patrick Corbin starting in 2019. Patrick Corbin showed a lot of potential in 2018, 2019, and I miss that Patrick Corbin. I do. We're going to get to the stats in a second, the category leaders, but I want to talk about Patrick Corbin for a minute. In 2018, 2019, those two seasons, he had at least 238 strikeouts in each season. 238 and then 246. He also won at least 11 games. 11 games in 2018 and 14 games in 2019. He also had an ERA of 3.15 in 18 and 3.25 in 19. And finally, his whip was 1.05 in 18 and 1.18 in 19. I miss that Patrick Corbin. However, since then, he has seen ERAs of 5 and even as high as 6, and his whip has been as high as 1.4, 1.5. That's not frontline starter. That's not this high contract you gave him. But he'll eat innings. He will take the pressure off the bullpen, and he'll go out there and he'll make sure that he's getting his innings. He'll watch out for his boys. But anyway, as we get back to the stat list, I want to preface with that because Patrick Corbin led in pretty much everything. Games started, quality starts, wins, losses, and innings pitched. Now, Josiah Gray led the team in ERA. We're going to talk about him in a second. Mackenzie Gore led the team in whip and strikeouts. Now, the holds and saves leaders could be flipped at different points in time. The holds leader was Hunter Harvey. However, he also had 10 saves. The saves leader was Kyle Finnegan, who also had 8 holds. So I feel like both of those guys are good enough to be the closer and or have the stuff to be the setup guy. We'll get to them in a second, though. Now, another guy I want to talk about who I pull for and who I try to have on my fantasy teams, Mackenzie Gore. This guy has some special stuff. He's got what's called that special fastball, and he's added a few other pitches to his arsenal, but injuries and inconsistency and also just being blocked when he was in San Diego, really stopped him from breaking out. Now, he improved from 22 to 23 as he was traded from the Padres to the Nationals. And, he did double his game started, and he did improve his ERA and his whip. And he's got the strikeout stuff. So I think he had like 140 and then 130 strikeouts in those 2 years. But the wins only went up by 3. And you go from starting like 14 games to starting 28 games. And the losses went from, I think it was 6 to 10. So I know you're starting more games, so there's a potential to lose more games, but there's also a potential to win more games. Now, he was playing with a less than stellar lineup compared to the guys that they had in San Diego, but come on, man. I thought Gore had a little bit more than that. It could have been bad luck. Now, I really do think that's what it is with Mackenzie Gore because he's got good stuff. And as bad as his luck might have been, I don't think it was as bad as Trevor Williams. Because Trevor Williams looked terrible in his first year with the Washington Nationals. He had a 5.55 ERA and a 1.6 whip. He started 30 games. He had 6 quality starts, and he won 5 of them. That is not good. And in all of that, he only pitched 144 innings. So 30 starts, 144 innings. That's not great. That's really not. And as someone who came from other teams with good bullpens, he may have gotten spoiled. Now, you might say, good bullpens. Yeah, he was with Pittsburgh when they had Mark Melancon and, there's another guy. He always looked like he was mad. looks like Jeremy Renner. Can't think of his name, but I think he ended up going to Atlanta. In any case, he had those two setup guys. Then I think he bounced around and went to the Mets, and the Mets had Rainey, and they had Lugo, and they had, oh gosh, I'm blanking on who else they had. Anyway, they had some talent. I think it was just like 2 years ago. So Edwin Diaz, I think. So in any case, I think he got spoiled. And I'm not saying the bullpen in Washington is not good. I'm just saying it's not as great as those others. But Trevor Williams definitely has to improve, has to pitch more, has to pitch deeper into games and lower from 5.55. And maybe not be so hittable. One that's very, very underrated, Josiah Gray. This guy had a 3.91 ERA. Before that, 2022, he had like a 5.02. 2021, he had a 5.2. So he's improved every year. Now, strikeouts aren't necessarily improving, but the game started are improving. The ERA, the whip is improving. And I definitely think that he can flip the wins and losses category. So 2022, he was 7-10. 2023, he was 8-13. And I definitely think he could flip that around if he would stop walking so many people. In 2022, he walked 68 people, and in 2023, he walked 80 people. Dude, what are you doing? Stop giving out free passes. It's like Christmas for everyone all the time. So now let's move to the bullpen. I think they have two really good arms in that bullpen. They have some other good arms as well, but like Hunter Harvey and Kyle Finnegan are two of the better ones. Obviously, being the holds and saves guy. However, like I said, they could mix and match with each other. And I think that's both on the coaches and the players for not capitalizing on it and building a more stable bullpen. Because as much as I like to say you need to have one main guy for each position, I also think cross-training is important. But if you are going to commit to Finnegan, you can't have a super short leash. If you're going to give Harvey an opportunity, you can't have such a short leash for him or extend that leash and say, well, it's his first time in the job. Let's give him a little. Like, you can't have double standards. And while I think both of them have good arms, I think Hunter Harvey probably has the best stuff, but he didn't capitalize. In his opportunities, he blew 5 saves. Now, before you ask, Finnegan blew 8 saves. So, geez. So neither one of them are absolutely like cementing themselves in the argument, and that's frustrating because I don't know who to draft, and the team is getting better, so they're going to have more opportunities. They have a few other arms, Tanner Rainey. That's really the only one coming to mind right now. I know there are more though, but you get what I'm saying. Like, there are other arms, but those two are the main guys, and they need to step up. The bullpen is, I think, the best part of that pitching, or the best pitching area. They have a few bats. They lost a few bats, unfortunately. We're going to talk about it in a minute. They gained a few bats. So with that transition, let's go to the arrivals. Eddie Rosario signed not too long ago. I think he's going to be a huge help to them, and may also push Victor Robles a little more to light a fire under his butt and get better. Also picked up Joey Gallo. Take with that information what you will. I also picked up Jesse Winker. I don't think he's going to do a whole lot. Dan Floro. He was a setup guy, in a few different leagues, or a few different teams. The Marlins, the Twins. So he's been in some decent bullpens. So I think he can help them and definitely will help them. I don't know if he's going to be the guy. I mean, he definitely won't be the guy. But he's definitely going to be a vital piece that the Nationals can use to bridge from, hopefully, you get a quality start, but 7, 8, 9. And then Nick Senzel. This guy's bounced around, started with the Reds. I think he's went out west and was with the Giants, and now he's back on the East Coast with the Nationals. So we'll see how that goes. Now to the departures. Biggest one, Jeimer Candelario. He could play first. He could play third. He gave them a stable guy in the infield. And not saying there aren't other stable guys, but Candelario came over from Detroit, did his thing, and Now he's with the Reds. I think he's going to have a much better season with the Reds. But in any case, I also have on here Steven Strasburg because I'm really not sure what he's doing. I mean, I know he's not going to pitch, but maybe they've lost him, even as if he is like considered in the Hall of Fame, not like Cooperstown Hall of Fame, but if they're like, oh, Washington Nationals, like, oh yeah, we want to put you in the Hall of Fame, if they have that, I don't even know if he'd want to go into that. The last guy they lost, Dominic Smith, not the sexiest name, but he put up some good numbers for him. He was a quiet batter in that lineup and somewhat productive. So they're going to miss him, especially if Meneses is not going to step his game up. But we'll see how that goes. I think the Nationals have a few good bats, but not enough to stack. So I wouldn't grab Meneses, Abrams, and whoever else. And as far as the pitching, I would probably only go for Hunter Harvey or Kyle Finnegan, because no one in that pitching rotation makes me feel comfortable, except for Josiah Gray. But even then, if you have whip as a category, or if you have walks given up, like if it's a points league, yeah, don't pick him. Absolutely don't. He's giving free walks away, free trips all day long. Well, that does it for the Washington Nationals. Again, I think they have a few good pieces, not enough to really build around, but they're definitely getting better. So in real life, I think they're going to get closer to that 500 record. I don't think they're going to hit 500. I think you're going to miss it by, it's like, no, they're going to win 74 games. So more than this past year, but not enough to say, hey, like, you might challenge us for first. So that means we're going to be moving up to New York and talking about the other team in New York, the New York Mets. I look forward to talking to you more. And this is JK. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.